All right, what's up? So, my name is D'Angelo, and I'm a mentor to anyone who is looking to heal the body, restore your mind, and compete and be competent in business, and even just to say learning how to run a business altogether. And so, to get to know me a little bit and just some of my skills and what it is that I do, I'm going to be explaining a story of one of my mentors, one of my mentees, who really is a good friend of mine, but a problem we ran into and how we solved it and made remedy for it. And through this story, I want you to see my experiences just as a, what I would say, teacher learning to be a teacher, while also still being a student of the thing that he is teaching, which is a lesson that I would like to literally instill in everyone, is that you always can be the teacher just as you always can be the student. So there is no being better than someone. There is only being further than someone. And in that fact, I just say be humble. Or not be humble. I don't really like that word humble. I feel like that's a created thing in this world only to keep you down. I would say have humility, which is to be knowing that you are capable, but you are also so in your heart that you will give to someone else who is not currently capable. Now, with that being said, Dylan came back to me in the months of around April or May. I had just moved to Washington, and he was like, "Hey D, I'm finally ready. Like, I really want to get done with this job that I have and start doing government contracting full time." And so maybe like March of 2023, no, maybe, yeah, like March or April, honestly, of 2023, he came to me and he was like, "Hey, I want to start learning government contracting." And so he was really my first student, because when people would come and ask me at the time, I felt like, yeah, I won this contract and I've been helping other people win, but I'm not really no better than you. I just know what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And so what I went ahead and did was I was like, all right, because I was making a course at the time. Um, I was like, I'll just teach you one-on-one mentorship style. Like, we'll make calls together, we'll do everything. And so that's what we did. And so at that point, then I taught him for a few months. He had a lot of things he was dealing with. I had a lot of things I was dealing with. Per se, was moving to Washington. And so as I'm getting to Washington now, he's hitting me back up like, all right, I'm ready. And so the first contract that we were awarded together, and note that I say together because technically I was working for him as what I would say as a consultant, but really I was teaching him the game. And so he's calling the subs, he's calling the contract officers. I'm only calling them when really that I needed to. Say if there's something that he didn't necessarily know, I would step in and facilitate. And so essentially, we were awarded a contract for an excavator from a company. I'm not going to say their name or any of the names that were involved in the situation, just because, I mean, I just don't want to say their names. But anyways, and not that they did wrong or anything. These were people who were fabulous. The company was fabulous, just to protect everybody's image, so to speak. And so this company wanted to work with us just as we wanted to work with them, and we let them know, hey, this is going to be a net 30. Typically, the government only produces payment on what is known as like a net 30. Not to say only, but commonly, I should say. And so a net 30 means that you are going to be paid 30 days from the time of the contract being completed, or the work for the contract being completed. So if we were done May 1st, we're not going to get paid until May 31st. And so heading into this contract, specifically with this company to deliver this excavator, we established that to be the thing that was known. Now here's what happened. They tell us in July, because that's when we won this contract, or no, sorry, June. They tell us in June that the award went out, but we would not be, or sorry, I'm messing up already. The government let us know we had the award. We reach out to this company. I keep wanting to say their name so bad. We reach out to this company, and they let us know the equipment won't be there until late October, early November. Skip around to Halloween. I'm literally in the freaking Halloween store, and Dylan texts me, hey, they got it. It's in Oregon. Like, we're good to go. I'm like, cool. Like, I'm ready. And so they reached out to Dylan and told him, hey, we want you to sign up for this credit application. Now, in my mind, that's where I say, you must be humble and you must be willing to assert yourself in any given situation. But the reason I'm saying that is because I'm humble in myself. And again, I said I don't like that word, but just using it, bear with me there. Let's take a side note. I'm gonna do that a lot. I'm gonna say I don't like something, and I'm gonna use it anyways, only because I know that a lot of people understand that. So I'm going to use what it is that they will understand. Now, I'm learning just as much as I'm teaching. I'm learning. And so when they gave him this application, I'm learning that it wasn't what I thought. I thought that they were giving him an opportunity, and technically they were, but I thought that they were giving him an opportunity to establish credit with that specific entity to be able to go back and lend and lend and lend. No, they really were just wanting the payment to be financed. That way the equipment could be delivered and they could already have the money. And so once I realized that, once I understood that, I was like kind of, confused a little bit, because we already signed this contract that said they had to pay a net 30. I'm unsure if I said that actually. So let me go back. As soon as we got that award letter, I went ahead and made a contract from scratch, gave it to this company and said, here's our conditions pretty much for the delivery. They said, okay, they signed it. So now at that point, let's say we're back at where the equipment had finally gotten to Oregon. They wanted Dylan to do the credit application. He went ahead and applied. I laughed when I told my girl this. I even laughed when I was speaking to Dylan. He's like, bro, I don't have any credit. And that's not an uncommon thing. But when he said that, I'm just thinking like maybe he hasn't really had credit, maybe a secure credit card. Mr. Dylan, and he's my brother, so he'll laugh at this as well. He did not even have a number. It literally just showed dash, dash, dash. And so I'm like, okay, well, because he denied. And they said it honestly looked suspicious just because what person doesn't have a credit number, a FICO generated credit score. And so I would say rightfully so, might look a little suspicious, especially to say a stage like this, doing business. And so, side story, this will have to be another video. My credit was tarnished and terrible. And so here's a lesson that I gave to Melissa, that I learned from my mother. My mother will always tell me, do not treat something you don't need now as something you'll never need later. And that's exactly what I did with my credit. I've been had $100,000, almost $150,000 in personal credit, like personal credit lines, lines of credit, just credit cards. And what I should have did, if I was to say where I'm at now, then I would have never touched it and only created it to be then business credit, which is not ever going to show up on your personal credit. But regardless of that fact, I was like, I don't need these credit cards, and I just let them all go, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know how to discharge debt. I know that I can get it removed, blah, blah, blah. So with that being said, from a man who had to experience the, what word did I say? I can't think of the word right now, but pretty much just the mediocre, oh, I know I can do this. Like, no, you can't. Like, it's better to treat something with the intent to continue to make it grow than to say I don't need it and cut it off and let it die. And I say that to say, if you've ever been without water, you remember every time you threw away a bottle that had a little bit of water. Every time that we had to go sign for this excavator, I remembered every single time I said, oh, I don't need that credit card, I'm not going to worry about it. But now I apply and my credit gets denied. And they say, okay, well, if either one of you cannot produce the financial backing for the equipment, then we will not be able to give it to you, to drop it off. And so now we're just in here stumped. And so we go to pretty much now turning the credit repair time from October all the way until, I think it was not January, till February. We're just sitting there trying to get the credit repaired, trying to help Dylan get some credit. All right, he's starting to get some trade lines, starting to get mine repaired, sending in my removal letters, doing all the different things you do. And so finally, shout out to my man Hickman. I'm gonna have to post his Facebook in this video, so y'all can hit him up and inquire with him with his services. But he's like a very good friend to me. And so even to say it was a mentor to me, right? And so I said this again to Melissa in the car, that I'm always willing to give the flowers to the person who gave me the seed, even if the fruit isn't technically something that was theirs. He gave me the seed of what to do. And even I would say more than a seed is fruit, because a lot of people don't even share these words to people for money, let alone just for free because, they like me or whatever. But he said, bro, all you got to do is give an affidavit. And I thought, and keep in mind now, my background, I like to study law, I like to study business and how to finagle around certain things. So I'm knowing this, like in my mind, I knew that was a possibility to use. I think everything is like a game. So I'm thinking that's a card I could use to play down. Well, I never genuinely thought of it in this aspect. Only it was until he told me, right? I always say, you don't know a card you have until you look to play it. I didn't even know I had that card but subconsciously I knew I could do that because I've done that for other contracts, things like that. And so he's like, all you need is an affidavit of truth to express the fact they already agreed that they would pay you. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, he's literally right. And so what I went ahead and did was I created an affidavit of truth and I sent it off to the company and the unknown excavator company or entity. And they literally responded with, why can't you just turn it into a bond? For those who know, if you see where I'm going, you will understand the power that sits behind that statement. Why can you not just turn that government contract promise to pay into a bond? But regardless of that, we just said, no, we can't. And so what was this letter then? What am I talking about? So this affidavit of truth pretty much expressed from the time that we won the contract, day by day, hour by hour, everything that happened in regards to communication between them and us. And specifically, I put on there that we received the award at this date. We made this contract and gave it to you at this time, which was a day later. You at, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 days later, returned to us this contract that you had said, we do not agree with this, and you changed it and gave it back to us. I'm blanking on the words right now. There's really important words I should be telling y'all. Like, for example, something to a contract. When you change it is a, if someone knows that word, drop it in the comments. But I can't think of it right now for some reason. We already been recording so many videos, my brain kind of fried a little bit. But pretty much, the stipulations, you're changing the stipulations to the contract. You're saying, okay, well, if we can't have A, give us B. And so that's really what happened. We gave them the contract. After creating it, they said, okay, we don't really want that. We'll take that out of there. They gave it back to us. Nowhere when they gave it back to us did they touch the payment agreement, or rather the payment terms, which was net 30 to be delivered upon delivery of equipment. And we listed the exact model number, you know, everything of the description of the excavator. And so at that point, I create this document. I send it to the manager of this specific region, and I call him as I have this document, or as I email him this document, and I pretty much say, hey, so-and-so, I just want to let you know we're not coming from a bad place, but you're leaving us with no choice. We're going to have to pursue legal action if you don't drop off this equipment, because this was quite literally our agreement that you agreed to already to drop it off before we pay you. Now, keep in mind, why wasn't we paying him? Because we couldn't get the financial backing just to get a quick loan at 0% interest. And so all these things I'm saying, I kind of want you to, if you don't hear everything, I want you to hear one thing and let your mind focus on it. Someone out there is hearing, damn, you can get a 0% interest from them. You can. So if you have your credit built up, and that's where I say I learned my lesson. Just because I didn't need the credit then didn't mean further down the line I wouldn't need it. You absolutely can get a 0% interest from these companies. So start to look how you can do that. Start to look how you can take everything that's in your, I almost call it in your backyard, how you can take all the tools in your backyard and use them for the front yard to make it look beautiful. Anyway, so, or tools in your pocket to make whatever. Anyways, whatever analogy works for you. Now, from that point, I sent that letter. That's when they start getting their legal team involved. And that is when they asked, why can you not just produce a bond? And so at which point we said, no, we're not doing that. We want you to drop the excavator off. And so they did. The lawyer said, well, you have no choice. They could literally sue you. And so that's where I say, even now, as a young man, I'm making these contracts, not as a man. Let's get those two things understood. As a boy, you're just, and not even to say a boy like 18, 19, just 20, 22, 23. You're making these contracts, but you don't know everything that's out there that to say maybe a mentor might know over you, to say that I might know over you in this aspect. I should have made the contract stipulate certain agreements within, to say we having rights over them and ownership of certain accounts, just shadow paper, anything. Like, that's how a contract should be orchestrated or created. Not just the shiesty ass way I was doing, but just something that's a little bit more, to say, in depth or cleaned up, or even to say just more mature, more professional. But anyways, with that being said, they dropped off the motherfucking equipment. Okay, so we got paid. The contract's value, I'll just be honest up front, was $30,000. And so we went half on that, 15 and 15. But my point is, though, this is like a no cap story, a not lying, just simply how it was, we did not put any money into this operation. The only things that we put money into was our sam.gov registration, our cell phone so that we could call them, and a computer so that we can type on a oh damn, camera's on 2%, so I gotta wrap this video up. But we did not put any money into this deal. When you do real estate, sometimes you gotta pay earnest money, right? Sometimes you gotta pay for the fees associated with the closing costs and the escrow. No, this was not there. We literally didn't pay any money, but that's because of the way that we pretty much conduct business. What I would like to say is on the back end by contracting. We write certain things within the contract to make it from, how would I say, to leverage almost the government's position to be able to pay us. That's an incentive to a lot of businesses. They would not be able to know that they're going to get paid from someone who is just a regular person. But if you're rolling up with the government behind you, which I like to look at as like a AAA business, not AAA that comes and rescue you from the side of the road. And video games is something called AAA titles. It's the biggest fucking game. So in my mind, I look at the government as like a AAA company. Their promise is good. You know that what they're saying will be delivered. And so that's pretty much that. So with that being said, the camera is about to shut off. It only has 2%. This would be a taste of what you would get inside the mentorship. I obviously know how to restore credit. I know how to do government contracting. I know how to file for different businesses, looking into creating trust, all these kind of things. But at the same time, I'm always learning. So as much as it is that I'm learning, I'm looking to give. It's so crazy. One of my best friends, Devon, he would tell you, he literally did try to give it away for free and nobody wanted to do it. And he would say every day, I don't want to do it for money. So now that I'm doing it for money, it's going to be interesting to see people who want to learn. Anyways, with that being said, join the membership, join the mentorship. There's going to be a lot of good things in there for you to not only help yourself propel money-wise or materially, can I say that word right now? Or rather to say in this worldly concept of living, it's going to be a lot of things to help you escalate, but it's also going to be a lot of things to help your soul. The number one thing for me of why I wanted to make money and do business was simply because I wanted to give back to this world. Not just with money, not just with food, but with substance and feeling, with giving people love and helping them understand that there's people who care in the world about them. Because when we walk into certain places or certain atmospheres within this world, you will look and it's desolate and it's cold and there's no love. And so I say that is at the very bottom of my heart, and fills my heart to the tippy top, the only thing that truly I want to do. But in order to do that, I must know business, right? I must be able to facilitate myself and my vessel in commerce in the waters of the law, maritime admirable law, that is colorable, but not is this law, because it's statutory law, even though statutory is not really a thing. There cannot be a statutory law. It does not exist. Anyways, my point is you will gain all this information joining the membership. Not because that I know everything, but simply because I can help you teach yourself to know everything. Because I don't know everything, and I want to make that known as well. I'm just a dude. We don't got the fruit, or we do got the fruit scraps behind us. Oopsies. I'm a dude who eats fruit. Shout out to the ants. I just gave that to the ants. I'm a dude who eats fruit, who loves to stretch, who loves to work out, who loves to give back to his community. And my community is anywhere I go. I love to do those things. And the thing that allowed me to do that quite literally was business, because you need money. So with that being said, I'm on 1%. Yeah, that's it. Turn it off.